if we kind of looked at your swing style, and you're a very low handicap in the world of ladies golf, so you're probably in the top 10 percentile of amateur golfers, if not higher. So when you look at the whole world of ladies playing golf, so what we'll see here, we talked about impact being everything. Well, if I just kind of looked at maybe the top of your sternum to the ball as being one of the radiuses of a swing circle, so I like to think of visually a golf swing as a circle. So how we bottom out here at the circle has something to do with good contact. Where the club face is looking is direction. Swing path has something to do with direction too. But so when you see here, you have good radius to start with. You got great setup. See how nice and long your arms are. The good old letter Y, I call it. Love that. But then sometimes we see a whole different story at impact with all that. So here you've got
almost a reverse weight shift.
Very much so, yeah. We're getting close with that upper body. So you're going to have to fix that on the way back. So, not to jump ahead, but that's going to have something to do with your low ball flight.
Okay.
Because you're de-lofting. The loft of the club is this, too. So if you come back and fix it, it can go high. So let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
So good observation, though. So I see now. Let's just look at impact. What you're going to see here is you're going to lose that radius. See now your head dips. So now, if those arms stayed straight, you would hit the ground back here. So therefore, you've got to kind of do a little chicken wing here. So you're going to lose your radius of your arms, and that's going to look a little bit broken down there. Yes. See? So sometimes it's hard to release that club. If you look at some good player pictures there for comparisons, which is what we like to do, might as well see the good players of the world.
My head's staying behind. But
yeah, it's quite down. So basically what happens is, unless you make the proper compensations. Now, if those elbows get in there just enough, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But if it's unreliable how much you compensate, then you get a little thin, a little fat, a little thin, a little fat. So, in terms of analyzing a swing, just kind of look at, let's just grab one example here. Carrie Webb, you'll see, everyone has some movements there with, you see how her radius is, her arms are extended, just like her setup was.
Yeah.
There's the Y there. There's the Y there. Now that's a function of a lot of things. Skill. All these girls work out. They're young, right? So there's your good impact. But you see how much your posture's changed. Now, if I look on the back view of what that looks like, of your full iron swing. Now we look at the swing circle from a rear view. Now that circle's on a tilt.
Yeah.
So that's what we call a swing plane. Right. So that's going to measure how the club's moving, if it's moving on a good path or not, but it's also going to point out how your posture changes with that little dipsy doodle, we'll call it, eh? Your great position at the top. Club's crossing over the line a little bit. I guess that could be something I could talk about, but let's pick priorities. And here's where you just got things get a little crowded in there.
Yes.
Right?
I look like I'm too tall for the club or something,
Yeah, so the way I would describe that, when we lose that radius of that circle, it's like now there's less room there. So what am I going to do to fix that? Well, the two things that happen with players is their posture moves back up out of the way to create space.
Yeah.
But yours stays there. So the only way you could not hit the ground a foot behind the ball is to have your arms come in. something you would never feel.
No, I wouldn't know if I didn't see it. Yeah.
So now we got a variety of how much compensation am I doing from swing to swing? How much am I hitting it low on the club every time because of that? Okay. So when I'm playing a lot, I got good timing. I'm compensating great. I'm hitting good shots, right? But if I'm hitting it low on the club a lot, I'm not hitting it very high. If you're hitting it low here, because there's less loft here than the middle or high.
Right. Right.
So if that ball's going low in the air and you can't hold the green because it's going so low, that's a little bit of the impact story there too. So we'll call that, put that under the topic of, well, our posture is changing at impact. Now by the time you're done, see, you don't even look up till.
Not staying tall.
So the reason Jim Ferree said stay tall with your chin is because you don't. So that's evident right there.
It's one thing to start out that way, but
That's correct. So that's a great setup thing, but it's also a great swing tall.
Yeah.
Feel tall at impact. Now, if you're going to feel that, first thing your mind's going to say is, well, Dan, I'm going to top it.
Right.
Well, guess what? Not if you let those arms get long again.
Yeah.
So one's going to feed the other to create that similar
Space.
Radius.
Yeah, more
Okay.
space.
Make sense? So it's all instincts. We're fighting instincts.
And I think, I think whether it's subconscious or not, you always feel like, you need to help the ball.
Get up in the air.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
it's
that's
totally
the problem.
subconscious.
Yeah.
Especially less skilled players. But you see how long you stay in that crouch? That's too long. See, I think you need to release I think you need to be taller and release things better.
Maybe I'm
Get up
trying
here.
too hard to stay behind the ball. Is that possible?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. So behind the ball, if you're sliding ahead of it, that's a reason to say I need to stay behind it.
Right.
If it's not really what you're doing, then it's probably not a good thought. But maybe back in the day, you were sliding ahead of it. That's what someone told you to stay behind it.
Yeah.
So then you turn into that.
Yeah.
So good news is that you're staying behind it. But you can kind of see this
You can
impact.
overdo it. You can overdo a good thing.
Yeah. So right now, to be consistent with that impact with your body posture requires great timing, good skill, and for the most part you can get away with it, but
It's an easier way to do it, though.
well, it's just, anytime your setup is good, takeaway is good, club points a little bit to the right, but you bring it back down on plane good. So when I say on plane, I mean, so, club's coming back. You're a little inside, you're a little under. If there is such a thing as perfect, I would call that under. I would call in comparative looks, got all these tour swings I've taken over the years at tournament sites. Here's a different style. She's a little bit more upright, Carrie again, but see how she's on plane. So that doesn't mean you have to be as good as her there, but it does. Now it's going to be more above. She's a little higher, but it never stays on plane. The shaft is more parallel above it, but see, now she's going to come down in the circle. Now we're going to find that you make pretty good compensation for that under when you come back to the ball, because you don't stay under, you come back closer on plane. You're a little under there, aren't you? So you're a little under to under. So there's your inside out swing that a person who draws the ball is capable of doing. But anyone that swings under to out is also prone to a push. So your swing plane is going where your misses are going, much more than closed hips. So it's right now, if your club face closes to make up for that, then you're going to get back on track. But for the most part, when I see how much your ball spins to the left, you're coming into the ball closed a lot. So that's also knocking down your loft. Right?
It's good for the driver, but it's not good for
Not so good for holding greens.
Yeah, that's right.
So you know, where to go from here, I think it's good for you to see these pictures again that you haven't seen for a while. Certainly.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, I mean, are you an advocate of taking pretty much if you're taking a full swing, taking pretty much the same swing with every club?
Well, I like to make golf as intuitive as possible. I like to make it as less technical as possible for people. So I can't, yes, the answer would be yes, generally speaking. Now, when the ball's on a tee, you're going to have a different angle into the ball. But that's representative of where your ball position is, too. So on a tee shot, we want to come in a little more level to slightly up. That's why we put the ball more forward. But some swing styles and skill levels are not so good when the ball's on the tee because they come down steep.
Yeah.
Someone who comes in shallow, they play better with the ball on a tee or a fairway would, and they have a hard time with irons. And it could be a vice versa, depending on who walks through the door. So, you know, probably if I looked at two things, I'd say, you know, I would say I'd like to not have the club point that way. I'd like to have it point more, you know, in terms of crossing the line or laying it off. If I give you two terms you might have heard.
Right.
Crossing the line, laying off. I'd rather have laying off because, and I'm using that as a relative component to where the club, if the club's parallel to your target line at the top with the shaft, that would, and you were a perfect machine, that's what it would be. So everyone deviates from that. So that's one thing I would say. I could give you some ideas about that because I just think because you're able, you know, the thing that contributes to that is how much this tilts forward. See, the more you tilt that upper body forward.
Well, I'm staying pretty parallel.
No, parallel's fine. Parallel's not the issue.
Oh, okay.
But this is going this way from the back, the club shaft where it's pointing.
Okay.
So that's why I'm referencing crossing the line, not crossing the line this way.
All right.
Okay. So again, I'm just giving you some perfectly things that I would explain.
Just do me a favor. Show me that again. I'm a little, you know, about crossing the line.
Well, let me give you another example of a tour player here. Let's see, because everyone's different here with tour players. That's why nobody's perfect. But we'll see here. Her club's looking more at the target. Yeah. Parallel. Yeah. Yours is, see, that's pretty good position. You see where yours is pointing?
That one, yeah.
So if you look at this being the line, parallel to that, where the shaft points at the top of the swing, this is crossing this line this way.
Okay, I see that.
Okay, now I love how your arms are, but the reason you're not on that's off plane by then. The reason for that is your over rotation of your upper body, which is making your upper body have a reverse pivot, reverse tilt.
Okay, so
makes sense?
You say too much turn with the upper body?
Well, yeah, and again, I'm talking in very general terms right now, just because I think that's smart. But when you wind up, see how your body tilt is appropriate? It's a little bit tilted to the right, which it has to be, because that's taller than that, because that hand's taller than that hand on the grip. So we're going to have a natural little incline there, correct? Okay. And that's going to make your spine tilt about 3 or 4 degrees to the right. So when you look at good players, they maintain that at the top of the swing. And someone who reverses that, see, you're going the other way now. So you got some runaway happy legs, I call them, going that way. This tilts that way. Well, that accommodates the club moving over here. So I'm giving you a very general description.
Okay.
Just for starting pictures here. So there's reasons why that's happening. So if we look at your two things that I would say would get you to be better, it would be getting your club on plane at the top, and then getting that impact figured out with crowding your space with your posture.
Mm-hmm.
So swing tall at impact, and then I'm going to get you, I'll do a little quick mirror thing with you before you leave to do at home in front of the mirror. That'll help you. But,
okay.
you know, I think those things, two things have a chance to impact a lot. And I think that's it, truthfully. You got a great golf swing, great tempo, good player. I mean, I can see it. And if you can putt better, you'd be better, right?